Hey, it's Kelly. Welcome back to my channel where we talk all about how to glow from the inside out. And today we're talking Dr. Althea skincare. Now, all the way back at the beginning of this year, I did a review of the 345 and 147 cream from Dr. Althea, and that video was very popular. You really enjoyed those reviews. So today I want to kind of expand on my thoughts with this brand. You know, it is a K-beauty brand that is rising in popularity on social media, especially TikTok. So today I want to talk about some more of their skincare products and really rank them in order from what I think are the least worth it to the most worth it, the most worth your time and your face space. So if you're so ready, give the video a big thumbs up and let's jump into the reviews. Number 5, Dr. Althea Pure Grinding Cleansing Balm. Now, this is probably their most popular product, and I definitely understand why it is popular and why it is getting hype. It has everything to do with the packaging of this product. This is actually a grinding cleansing balm. So actually, you take the top off and you see that it's totally closed off, and as you twist the top of this, it will actually rotate the cleansing balm, the solid balm, and it will dispense it into this like shaved dispenser right at the top. And I think that that is part of the reason why it is so popular. It just looks really cool. Like, ooh, that's different. So just from visual aesthetics, and I think it's really important to acknowledge that when we're talking about, you know, popular and hype skincare products, oftentimes it's how they're being presented to us and how they look much more than how they perform. So there's definitely an aesthetic and a look here that is very intriguing. Some of the claims around this too from folks who really enjoy this dispense method is that it's much more hygienic, right? Because you're not digging your fingers into the cleansing balm, which I would say please use a spatula. But also it's important to understand that products are formulated with preservatives that match the packaging, the end product. So when you open something up, and whether you're putting your fingers into it or you're using a spatula, the preservative system in that product is meant to resist the bacteria from your hands and from the spatula. And I would also recommend, if you use your hands, that those be clean hands. So it's not as big of an issue as I think we make it out to be in our minds. But all that being said, if you're just given the ick, right, by a cleansing balm traditional packaging, this could feel more hygienic for you. This is not my favorite product from Dr. Althea. I have to admit, it is being ranked number 5 in this video. It's not bad. It's actually a pretty good cleansing balm in my opinion, as far as its ability to remove stubborn makeup, thick, heavy makeup, waterproof makeup, really thick and heavy sunscreens, water resistant sunscreens. Like, I think it does its job as a cleansing balm pretty well to melt down all of those thick layers. Where my not my favorite commentary comes in really has to do with the filminess of this cleansing balm. And I will say, I've said it in the past and I'll say it again, I'm not the biggest fan of balms. I don't really love the residue that they can sometimes leave on my skin. Not all balms do, but a lot of them, especially in my past cleansing balms, have definitely done that and kind of turned me off from the product category as a whole. However, this one does feel like it's a little harder to rinse off of my skin. So, you know, it spreads really nicely. It melts onto the skin. It removes everything pretty well. But once you start emulsifying it and trying to rinse it off your face is when it starts to feel like it's just clinging to your skin. There's a residue, a filminess. And yes, this is part of, you know, one part of a 2-step process of cleansing your skin. You use this first to remove those thick layers, and then you follow up with the foaming cleanser. The foaming cleanser will break down that filminess, but I do suspect this is why there are some reviews out there of folks saying that this cleansing balm has broken them out or caused congestion and texture on their skin, you know, clogged pores, right? I think it's because the filminess of this, especially depending on what cleanser you're using afterwards and how thorough you can be with that cleanser, this residue could sit on your skin. The waxes in the ingredients list here in the formula could cause congestion if left on the skin and not removed properly. That texture and that potential, especially if you are prone to congestion on your skin, may not be worth it for you to risk it for some cool packaging, right? You know, let's talk about that packaging for a second. Let's circle back around. As as cool as it looks and as like on paper functional it may be, for me personally, I actually found this to be less hygienic. I actually did not like scooping the product off of this hard plastic surface and having it smear all over. And you know the dreaded thing, you do your twist, you get some product out, you put it all over your face with all that like makeup and everything, and you're like, oh shoot, I actually want just a little bit more. And then you got to go in with your hands that are all waxy and makeup-y and dirty. You should rinse them, but you know, you want your fingers to be dry for that first process before you emulsify it. You get all that residue on the top. Look at this. This is disgusting. I didn't wipe it off. This is what happens to the top of this. This is what social media doesn't show you. And so I actually got the ick. This is disgusting. And I'm disgusted by myself that I didn't wipe this off after I used this. I'm assuming this was from last night or the night before. But this is what I'm talking about. That's nasty. That's nasty. So I'm ranking it number 5. The packaging is cool in theory, but it actually ends up being a little bit more work. You have to remember to wipe that off every single time. My number 4 pick is the Dr. Althea 345 Relief Cream. And interestingly, this is also probably one of their top products that is really getting a lot of attention on social media lately. So this is a cream that contains 1% of niacinamide, 1% of panthenol, and 1% of prickly pear extract. And really what this formula's point of view is it is meant to help to reduce inflammation, help to brighten up the skin, and help to reduce redness as well, and have kind of a soothing effect for the skin. And so this cream definitely is targeted more towards folks who maybe do have some breakouts on their skin to help reduce the redness from the breakouts, but also some of the discoloration that can come after acne. The 1% of niacinamide will have a brightening effect on that, very gentle brightening effect. And so a lot of people are getting great results using this because it is gently brightening your skin over time, even if you don't have acne, right? But maybe you have hyperpigmentation, dull or uneven skin. You know, 1% doesn't sound like a lot. It actually is a pretty decent amount of niacinamide, while, as I've mentioned a few times, being sort of gently brightening and not pushing your skin too far. And so, yeah, some really nice before and after photos with some folks. But I will say there's something about this texture that really holds me back from loving it so much. It's kind of an interesting, sort of like a wet gel cream type of texture. At first it looks like a traditional cream moisturizer, but you'll see quickly as you spread it across your skin, there's more of a wet element, a gel-like element, and that is likely the panthenol at play here in the formula. Panthenol definitely has more of a gel-like, hydrating, watery, kind of fills each pore with hydration kind of feel. So there is a balance between a cream and kind of like more of a gel-like hydration to this. And as you spread it across your skin, you will feel that it's not a thin layer. It's more of like a medium kind of layer that feels a little heavier for a kind of like gel cream texture. And then it sinks in with a good amount of hydration. It feels cooling and refreshing on the skin. And then you get that silky moisturization and emolliency right at the top surface of your skin, just kind of like very gently hugging everything in. But it is something that feels kind of wet on the skin for a prolonged period of time, and actually a little bit sticky and tacky as it's fully settling and absorbing onto the skin. So I actually found this texture to be a little off-putting, quite honestly. I don't love my last layer to feel sticky. I like it to feel like it's just sealing everything in, you know what I mean? And just tucking in the rest of my skincare. And I don't like to have to wait too long to go in with my sunscreen either. You know, if your moisturizer is still a little wet or sticky on your skin, it could cause some pilling, some issues with your sunscreen or your makeup. So just in the application and the function of the texture, I didn't really love it. And for me personally, I always try to admit my biases, especially when I'm giving a less than stellar review to something, right? You know, my bias here, honestly, is that I'm not really seeing a lot of results with the active ingredients in this particular moisturizer, but that's just simply due to my skin being kind of in a very optimized state right now. And that's not a humble brag or anything. It's just I don't have a lot of brightening to tackle that this moisturizer would be able to show me those types of results. So as I mentioned, I have seen what appear to be very honest and real reviews of folks seeing a brightening effect on their skin from using the skincare product. I just personally didn't experience that. So what could be magic about this particular cream for me, it just doesn't hold true for my skin type and my skin needs right now. And so this is me telling you exactly why I've placed this where I did in the rankings. Again, I don't think this is a bad product. And I did cover this a lot more deeply in the video from a couple of months ago when I talked about this cream and the 147 cream. I think if you are acne prone, as I mentioned, there's some really good ingredients in here that can kind of aid the improvement in your skin from that skin condition. If you are just starting your skincare journey and you're looking to build actives into your routine, but you don't want it to be super complicated, you don't want many steps, right? Maybe you are just a wash and go kind of person. You cleanse your face, you use your moisturizer and your sunscreen. You may want to load up that moisturizer with the good actives like the panthenol and the niacinamide. And so this could save a lot of time in your skincare routine and really streamline things for you. And I think, as we're looking at the world and the state that we're in today, we're also looking to save a lot of money. And so we definitely want some high performing types of skincare products. If you're just starting out, this could fall into that category for you. It didn't for me, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have that possibility for somebody else. Number 3, Dr. Althea Vitamin C Boosting Serum. Now this product is falling into the K-Beauty renaissance of vitamin C products. Have you noticed that over the last year, maybe even 2 years now at this point, there's been a lot of new vitamin C products on the market and a lot of new vitamin C products that aren't really leading with ascorbic acid, which is that pure active form of vitamin C, but they're leading with the gentler forms, the stabilized forms, or the alternative extracts that have vitamin C like benefits. And that's exactly what this product is. But it's kind of interesting. They really focus in on the main ingredient here being the 63% of hypofavraminoids water, which you may know as sea buckthorn water, or in K-Beauty, it's often nicknamed vitamin tree. You might have seen vitamin tree extract or vitamin tree water. It is actually referring to sea buckthorn, or again, the inky name hypofavraminoids. So this is a really interesting ingredient that is derived from a plant source. And it is named vitamin tree in K-Beauty because it has vitamin C-like benefits for the skin. It acts as an antioxidant. It works to gently brighten up the skin. The story really doesn't end there. And I always like to dive a little bit deeper beyond the marketing and beyond what the brands want us to think, right? And really look at what are the key players here in the ingredients list that are going to be giving us the benefits. And as you look further, there's such a bigger, deeper, far more interesting story happening in this serum. So there's multiple brightening ingredients in here, including niacinamide. We know that one, it's a goodie. We also have some tranexamic acid in here. We have 3-O-ethyl ascorbic acid, which is a stabilized form of vitamin C. So as I've already covered, right, it is going to give a lot of those benefits to the skin, but it's stabilized and it's not going to oxidize. There's just a touch of ascorbic acid in this formula. That is the pure form of vitamin C. And then they're also using alpha arbutin, which is a really potent brightening ingredient for the skin. And so what's interesting about all of these brightening ingredients, yes, there's a good amount of vitamin C in here, as I mentioned, far beyond just the hypofavraminoids, but the niacinamide, the tranexamic acid, and the arbutin, all three of these brightening ingredients work at pigmentation in the skin at different levels and through different pathways. And so I think that that is really interesting because oftentimes when we're using products with just one brightening ingredient, sometimes we don't see the benefits that we're expecting to see, very possibly because that brightening ingredient doesn't match up with the pigmentation that our skin, the unique pigmentation that's happening in our skin, right? And so actually kind of stacking these similar but different brightening ingredients, if you will, right, actually is going to deliver a product that is probably going to give better results to a bigger group of folks than if we were just to focus on one brightening ingredient in a high percentage. But they've also included Q10 as well as ID-benoin, and these are really potent antioxidants that, along with the vitamin C, are helping to protect our skin from environmental aggressors, from pollution, from the sun, from any type of damage to the skin and to the collagen structure, and the damage that can also lead to the hyperpigmentation on our skin or the discoloration and unevenness as well. So this has a gel-like serum texture. It does feel hydrating as you're spreading it across the skin. It sinks in pretty well. There is just a tiny, very little whisper of a little tack at the top of the skin, but that actually goes away pretty quickly, and anything you put on top of that will eliminate eliminated. I didn't find it to be anything that interfered with my skincare routine. I'm just giving you all the information that I detected when testing out this serum. Just a little bit of tack on application, but it does go away. It's not like a very hydrating, like deeply hydrating. There's a little bit, but not a very hydrating or like a plumping element to this. This is truly just about getting these actives into your skincare routine. And so just based on the texture alone, I think it would actually work for a majority of skin types. I will say I am just a touch sensitive to Arbutin in skincare products. I can usually feel a little stimulation on my skin when I use it. And so I did feel a little stimulation when I was testing this one out. And I think that that just speaks to the fact that there are quite a few potent actives in here. I just want to let you know, if you're a new viewer, I do have very sensitive skin and I'm very tuned into those sensitivities. So it's very likely that this is not going to cause irritation for you if you don't have my particular skin sensitivities. I do think that this is an easy kind of daily type of brightening serum that you could use in your skincare routine. I don't think it's that massive of a deal, but I know a lot of folks who watch my channel have similar skin concerns as mine. And so, yeah, I felt a little stimulation from this one. So if you're very sensitive, this might be something you work in a few times a week. But if you're not very sensitive, this is something you could very comfortably use every single day to reach your brightening goals. My number 2 pick is the Dr. Althea Gentle Vitamin C Serum. Oh yes, because as I mentioned, you know, that vitamin C boosting serum is a little stimulating if you have sensitive skin, and Dr. Althea actually really has addressed that by coming out with a counterpart serum for sensitive folks. Here again with the marketing, it's the same kind of story here. They're leading with this higher percentage. They're leading with the hypofavraminoids water as the main star, but there's so much more going on beyond that. So they have reduced the hypofavraminoids water from 63% in the original boosting serum down to 20% in the Gentle serum. And as we look further, because there's always more to explore, right? As we look further, first and foremost, you see that this ingredients list is so much shorter, right? It's much more condensed, it's much more edited, and that is for a purpose, right? For sensitive folks, they've eliminated a lot of the additional ingredients that can cause those types of sensitivities on the skin. And so really what we want to focus in here on are the brightening ingredients. We have niacinamide, and we also have 3-O-ethyl ascorbic acid. This texture is very different too, because again, it's a very different ingredients list, right? So we do have that same gel-like looking texture, but it's actually not quite as thick. It spreads really beautifully. It sinks in the skin a little bit faster. It actually eliminates that sticky appeal and quality that the boosting serum had. I don't really detect any tackiness on this one. And again, because it's just that really straightforward, lightweight gel type texture, I see this working for a majority of skin types from oily all the way up to dry and everybody in between, because it's just like not offensive. And especially because there's no stickiness with this one, I think it will work for a lot of folks. So I was a little bit more impressed with this one. That's why I ranked it number 2, just because, as I said, for me personally, I did feel a little stimulation with that boosting serum, just a little bit, not a ton, but just a little bit. That makes me lean, in my personal bias, a little bit more towards the gentler formula. But I think what's really important to understand here is we have options in this family of vitamin C serums from Dr. Althea. I think that's really smart, quite honestly. I don't see every brand doing that. I do see a big focus on just like, you know, the most actives or the highest percentages, and that's the most appealing. But I do like that they've acknowledged that it might be a good idea to also have a slightly gentler alternative. And my number 1 pick is the 147 Relief Cream. You knew this was going to be my number 1. You probably sensed it, because back when I reviewed the moisturizers in January, I think it was, I told you, like, I really like this and I don't understand why more people aren't talking about this. This is probably the least hyped up product from Dr. Althea, but it's my favorite one by far. This is such a good cream moisturizer. So this features some interesting extracts. And again, I find this with Dr. Althea, they tend to lead with these extracts or these high percentages of ingredients, but what's lurking beyond the marketing is far more interesting to me than what they're leading with, right? So what they're leading with is the peony extract. There's also some avocado and kale. It sounds like a really good healthy salad, quite honestly. So they're really leading with these extracts, but you know what I always look for in moisturizers for my personal skin type? It's the ceramides, right? It's that lipid content that really helps keep your skin barrier strong, that resists dehydration, and that really soothes the skin. So they're actually included 6 types of ceramides. We have cholesterol and fatty acid content. And then they're also using guanidine. Now, this is an interesting active compound that's isolated from the chamomile plant. And this is, chamomile is often used in skincare for its soothing benefits, right? Guanidine is the active compound in the plant that is responsible for the anti-inflammatory effect, the soothing effect, the ability to reduce redness on the skin. Like, it just is a very potent soothing ingredient in skincare. So it comes together in something that is barrier supportive, that is moisturizing, that is nourishing, and that's soothing to the skin, calming to the skin, that reduces redness on the skin. And it has this really great kind of light cream texture. It's not a heavy, dense, like rich moisturizer that seals off your skin. It's actually very breathable. It's very silky and lotion-like. It spreads beautifully across the skin. There's such a silky luxuriousness. It really leaves your skin incredibly soft and smooth at the surface. Very skin conditioning, very moisturizing, but breathable, lightweight, not sealing off your skin, just enough to just very gently hug your skincare layers in place, but not so much that it feels like you've slugged your skin off, right? And that you've sealed it off. The occlusivity here is very much on the light side. So this is actually a cream that, as I said in the video in January, it's still a little light for winter where I live in the upper Midwest, but come the warmer months, I think I'm going to be leaning on this a lot more. And the warmer months are here, and yes, my prediction rings true. My combination skin, where I get a lot more oil in the summertime and a lot less dryness in my U-zone, still a little bit. I do need some nourishment, but I just don't need overwhelming rich nourishment. And that's exactly what this cream provides. The comfort and nourishment without the overwhelming greasy, heavy feel, plus all those amazing skin barrier strengthening ceramides, all the great lipid content that really smooths and softens your skin. If you have any rough areas or dry areas on your face, this will help to smooth and soothe that. But then, yeah, it's a soothing cream as well, and helps reduce redness and inflammation. So if you have some breakouts, if you have some irritation on your skin or some areas of sensitivity, this will also help to gently address that, to calm the skin, to protect the skin, but not weigh it down, not overwhelm it, and not, clog your pores, right? So there's something really beautiful about what this texture is offering and how it functions for the skin. But I think that the formula itself so much more interesting than some flower extracts. You know what I'm saying? So if you've been interested about Dr. Althea skincare, I hope this video helps you out, giving you my honest opinion about these products. Let me know if you've tried any of these, or maybe something else from the brand. Let me know in the comments below. And if the video did help you, but you haven't hit subscribe yet, please, especially if you made it to the end of the video, that's rare on YouTube, hit subscribe. Come join our skincare community if you love deep diving into ingredients. If you love K-beauty, that's what my channel is all about. All right, I love you so much. Thanks for being here with me today. I just want to encourage you to keep shining your light. We need you, and I can't wait to talk to you in the next video. Bye.